Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Using MinIO Client with Oracle Object Storage. My name is Nikki Chen. I'm a Marketing Event Manager for the Developer Initiative here at Oracle. And today we're excited to show you how to use MinIO Client with OCI's Object Storage. Also, just a quick note, we'll be sending the session recording to the same email address used for today's event. If you have any questions during the webinar, please drop them in the Zoom chat or in the Q&A area, and we'll be happy to answer them. We've also set up a Slack channel, Cloud Coaching North America, in our developer workspace that you can access at the QR code on the screen or at the link. This channel will remain open after the event for you to contact us directly if you have any questions. Today's webinar will be presented by Chenmai Tucker, a staff cloud engineer. With that being said, I'll hand it off to Chenmai.
So hi everyone, I'm a senior cloud engineer here at Oracle, and today we're going to go ahead and look at a topic which is using MinIO client with Oracle's object storage. So the agenda for today is we'll do a quick overview of what MinIO exactly is. We'll also look at the S3 compatibility that comes along with MinIO. Later on, we'll look at the S3 compatibility API that Oracle's object storage provides, which we will be using with our MinIO client. We'll also go through basic differences between Oracle's object storage API as well as the Amazon S3 compatibility API that we provide as part of our OCI offering. The differences are good to know because there might be some places where the all the features of the MinIO client may not work with Oracle's object storage. And lastly, we'll just take a quick look about what the MinIO client is all about, how you can go ahead and install it. And then we'll jump into the demonstration. Once the demonstration is done, I will pass it on to my fellow colleague, Christian, who will go ahead and give you a quick overview of our Code Innovate program. And lastly, we'll end with a Q&A session. So starting off with MinIO, what is MinIO? So MinIO is a highly performance S3 compatible object storage. It was built for large-scale AI/ML workloads. You can use it for data lakes, for database workloads as well. It is software-defined, and it runs on any cloud. And you can also run MinIO on premises. You can go ahead and make one of your directories into an object storage as well. And that's where MinIO comes into the picture. The main thing about MinIO is that it has dual licenses, and the first license is open source, GNU. So you can go ahead and use MinIO with any of your applications. It is open source. They also have a commercial enterprise license if you want to go ahead and use your advanced features of something that MinIO is offering. And the benefits actually of using MinIO is it's simple, it has really good performance. But the most important feature over here is it is Kubernetes native and AI ready. So for applications recently that are going to be built on the cloud or are cloud native applications who are using technologies such as Kubernetes or they're using functions, MinIO can probably gel much better with your application and providing you the object storage needs that you need. And with the AI boom happening all throughout the industry, MinIO's object storage is also AI ready. The next thing we go ahead and talk about is the MinIO's S3 compatibility. So MinIO is actually made for multi-cloud storage. S3 compatibility, if you are working on any cloud native applications these days, has become a hard requirement. It's mostly like a de facto standard in the cloud, and everyone is using S3's compatibility when they're using object storage with their applications. And because it's become such a standard, everyone needs to speak the API fluently. So the S3 API needs to be compatible with whatever application that you are working with, not just with the AWS cloud that you're using, but also with multiple different clouds. And that is where the S3 compatibility API comes into the picture, where you can go ahead and interoperate across diverse environments, maybe the public cloud, if you have a private cloud, an on-premises data center, Or using hybrid clouds if you want to interact with multiple clouds together, let's say Oracle Cloud as well as with a different cloud. That's where S3 compatibility kind of helps, because both of them supporting that S3 compatibility helps you to develop applications fluently. And lastly speaking, MinIO actually established itself with the Amazon S3 compatibility standard from the start itself. So MinIO has had the S3 compatibility and it's built on the S3 compatibility from the start. The next thing we go ahead and look at is the Oracle's object storage S3 compatibility. And like I said, if you want to go ahead and use Oracle's object storage, but you are already using S3 in your applications, the Amazon S3 compatibility API provided by Oracle in their object storage kind of makes it easy to continue to go ahead and develop your applications while making minimal changes in your applications to work with our object storage. So let's say, for example, if you're using SDK clients or APIs which already have S3 embedded in them, and you want to go ahead and use our object storage along with that, you won't have to make a lot of changes because uh, we do go ahead and provide an S3 compatibility API. And the Amazon S3 compatibility API for object storage data sets are congruent. So let's say if you are using both the Oracle Object Storage API as well as the Amazon S3 API, let's say, for example, you go ahead and put some objects in the object storage using the S3 compatibility API, you can go ahead and read those objects using the native object storage API and vice versa. So it works interoperably really nice. You won't have to go ahead and use, or you're not stuck with just the API that you're using. You can use either one of them. We'll go through the differences between the object storage APIs as well as the S3 compatibility API for object storage that OCI provides. And like I said, this differences kind of makes it a little bit more, gives you a little bit of more information on where and when you can go ahead and use the S3 APIs and where you cannot, based on what is compatible on the compatibility API that OCI provides. So the first thing is compartments. So Amazon S3 doesn't use any compartments, but in OCI, we use compartments, which is the logical separation of resources. So by default, buckets that are created using the S3 compatibility API will always be created in your root compartment of the OCI tenancy. Also, there is a way to go ahead and change this specific setting, but there you can only go ahead and define one specific compartment in which your objects or buckets can be created. The second thing is global bucket namespace. See, the object storage API doesn't use a global bucket namespace. The object storage namespaces, they serve as a top level container. All the buckets, all the objects that you create are part of that top level container, which is the namespace. So when you go ahead and create an object storage tenancy, um, at the time of account creation, you are assigned a unique system generated namespace. We will go ahead and look at the namespace and where you can find all of this on your OCI tenancy as well. I'm going to go through where you can find all of these information as well. Or what happens is namespace spans across all the compartments within a region. So the buckets that you go ahead and create will be part of this unique namespace. While the namespace is region specific, the namespace itself is the same across all the regions. So you can have a bucket, let's say, for example, in Ashburn region with a specific name, and you can use the same name to have a different bucket in a different region as well. But while the namespace at the top level will still remain the same because it spans across all regions. Third part is encryption. So by default, Oracle Cloud is very secure and it encrypts all the data at rest as well as in transit by default. So if you're using the compatibility API, which gives you an option to go ahead and turn on and turn off encryption, that won't go ahead and work with Oracle's object storage. And lastly, object level access control lists. See, in OCI, we don't use ACLs for objects. We go ahead and have our own IAM policies and structures that we go ahead and use. And your administrator of the tenancy will have to go ahead and create the group, add the user to the right group, create the compartments in which those buckets are going to be made, and assign the right policies for that specific group to give you access to go ahead and create any buckets within that compartment, or go ahead and upload objects, view objects based on the type of restrictions that you need. So we have a whole different structure of IAM that you go ahead and need to follow to give you access to object storage. Also, let's go ahead and look at now the MinIO client. What that is, what we are going to go ahead and use in our demo as well. The MinIO client is a command line tool. It provides a modern alternative to all Unix commands like, ls, cat, cp, but in regards to object storage. It supports different file systems as well as all S3 compatible cloud storage services. So you can say object storage that Oracle provides is compatible with S3, and hence you can go ahead and use MinIO client with our object storage as well. The MC command line tool is built for compatibility with the S3 API and is tested with MinIO, it's tested with Amazon S3, and it is expected to have the same functionality and the same behavior. But if you're using this with any other S3 compatible services, let's say, for example, with the service that we are going to go ahead and use on OCI, there might be some features that are unsupported. Most of them should work as documented, but if there is anything that doesn't work, it's actually because of the dissimilarities between the S3 API compatibility provided and the one that you're using with MinIO. All right. So based on this basic knowledge of what MinIO is, what a MinIO client is, and what the OCI object storage provides in terms of S3 compatibility, we'll go ahead and jump into our demonstration. All right, so I am now logged into my specific tenancy. The first thing that we are going to go ahead and look at is where you can go ahead and find certain features that you need in terms of the S3 compatibility in OCI. The first thing that you go ahead and do is at the top right, click on your user icon and go to your tenancy name. When you go to your tenancy name, what you'll go ahead and find over here is the S3 compatibility designated compartment. And as you can see over here, right here, that compartment is currently set to my root compartment. So any API calls with regards to the S3 compatibility for object storage, all those will be implemented just in the root compartment. But let's say if you want to change that to a different compartment, that's always something that's possible. So if you check over here, which says edit object storage settings, you can select a different compartment. Let's say I want to go ahead and select my compartment and create all the resources there. I can do that as well. So the options available to go ahead and choose a different compartment where the Amazon S3 compatibility API works. The other thing which is very important was we spoke about the namespace that is assigned during the tenancy creation, and the namespace can be found right over here. In this case, the namespace is the same as the tenancy name, but sometimes for different customers, it might be different, and the namespace is something like a unique ID that is assigned to you. And we'll go ahead and use the specific uh, namespace while creating our compatibility API URL. All right, so going through a few other different documentation sites that you have. This is a documentation site for the Amazon S3 compatibility API. It gives you most of the information that I went through the slides, as well as more information on how you can go ahead and set up your OCI infrastructure to work with Amazon S3 compatibility APIs. And we'll go through all of these right now as well, and how you can go ahead and modify your application, your URLs, as well as the support that we have with the different APIs. Also, to go ahead and find the exact URL itself, we have a REST API reference list. And if you go ahead and click on the Amazon S3 compatibility API right here, you will find the compatibility API for your specific region. So let's say, for example, if I go back to my tenancy, my home region is US Ashburn. Remember, I also said that it is only going to work in your home region. So make sure that you pick the right API, which is your specific home region right here, which is Ashburn for me. As you can see over here, it asks for the object storage namespace. That namespace needs to be substituted with the namespace that I showed you, which is the one that you can get from here. So these are the basic things that you go ahead and kind of get the information before you go ahead and start implementing anything with MinIO. Once you have all of this information, the next thing that you want to go ahead and do is go over to the MinIO site and go to the MinIO client. If you go to this specific website, you will go ahead and see a quick start module where you can go ahead and install MC, the command line tool for MinIO client. Depending on your specific OS, I have a Mac OS. I have downloaded MinIO. And the next thing that we want to go ahead and do is create the connection to an external server. So let's say, for example, over here, they've given an example for AWS and Google Cloud Storage. But if you see the command over here, we have to go ahead and set an alias. You can set the name of the alias right here. The next thing that you have to go ahead and provide is the URL itself. And like I said, the URL is nothing but the one that I showed you over here with the namespace substituted over there. And at the end, you go ahead and need an access key and a secret. So we need to go ahead and procure that as well to go ahead and set the alias up locally. And we're going to go ahead and look at where you can go ahead and get this access key and the secret key. So if I go back to my tenancy, go ahead and click on your profile again and click on my profile. So when you go ahead and click on your profile, if you scroll down a little bit on the left-hand side, you'll be able to see a section which says customer secret keys. If you click on that, you can go ahead and generate a secret key. When you go ahead and click that, you can give it a friendly name. Let's say, for example, test for now, and generate a secret key. This will go ahead and give you the secret, which is only showed once. So you want to go ahead and copy the specific secret and keep it for your reference. While for the access key itself, you can always get the access key right here. But the secret is only showed once, so make sure you go ahead and copy it for your references. Once you have the access key and the secret key, the next thing that you want to go ahead and do is set the alias itself. So if I go to my specific terminal, I have already set this up in my tenancy. I've already run the command. It shows a success. But what it exactly does is it goes ahead and adds a new alias. So I'm going to show you how that alias looks. So if I use MC alias list, and this will show me all the list of different aliases that I have set. So as you can see, this is the one that I have set using my access key as well as my secret key, along with my URL that we created using the namespace as well as the compatibility API. Once you have that, I've given it the name myOCI. And now whenever I go ahead and use any of the MinIO client commands, I'm going to go ahead and use this alias so that it connects to my object storage on OCI to do all those different sets of commands. So let's go ahead and look at what kind of commands we can go ahead and run. So once you go ahead and finish installation, the next thing probably is let's go ahead and look at my buckets that I already have in my root compartment. So as you can see, I have a lot of buckets created in this root compartment. Let's say, for example, I want to see all the objects that are part of this specific bucket, OCI bucket 01. So you can go ahead and use MinIO's MC commands to go ahead and list different objects within this. And the way you can do it is the command is MC ls for list, and you need to go ahead and give your alias name, which is my OCI slash, then you can give your bucket name, which is OCI bucket 01 slash, and it'll go ahead and list all the objects within that specific bucket. So as you can see, I have all these different objects within that bucket. It looks like a export job from a database. And if you want to go ahead and verify that, I can go in this and show you that the objects are the same. The other things that you can go ahead and do is, let's go ahead and create a new bucket. So let me clear out. And if you go to documentation, these are all the different commands that you can go ahead and run using the MinIO's MC client. So let's go ahead and first create a new bucket. So for creating a new bucket, what you can do is MB command, the MC space MB command. All the syntax and examples are given over here, along with the different parameters that are optional as well as required to go ahead and create a bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and create a bucket in Oracle's object storage using the MinIO client. So MC space MB make bucket. And then again, like I said, I need to go ahead and provide my alias. So my OCI space, no, slash, and my bucket name. So what do you want to call my bucket? Let's call it MinIO bucket. And you can see the bucket has been successfully created. So let's go ahead and double check whether the bucket actually has been created. So I go back to object storage and you can see over here, my MinIO bucket has now been created right now. Currently, this bucket will have no objects in there. You can go ahead and upload objects from your local file system as well uh, using the MinIO client. And let's go ahead and do that next. So next thing we want to go ahead and do is create a copy a specific object, let's say from my desktop to the specific bucket. And we're going to go ahead and use the mccp command, which is the copy command. Again, you can go ahead and find the syntax right here and an example of how you can go ahead and use this. So recursive actually also copies every specific object within a directory. So if you want to copy multiple objects together, you can do recursive, or you want to do a single object like I'm going to do right now, you can do that as well. So let me go ahead and copy an object. So it's going to be MC CP. And then the next thing is I need to go ahead and provide my source. So my source is going to be, let's say, 12 slash desktop slash new folder slash test.txt. So this is a simple text file that I've created. It just has the words hello world in that and nothing else. I just want to copy that specific file over to my bucket that I have created right now. So this was the source. The next thing we want to set target. So I'm going to take this as the target slash, and I want to go ahead and copy that specific object. So like I said over here, it was successful. My test.txt has now been copied. If you want to double check, you can do it from here itself, where you can do MC, ls, list everything that's in the specific bucket. And as you can see, that test.txt file has been added. Another good command over here is you can also cat the contents of the specific ones. So if you want to go ahead and do MC cat the specific bucket and the object is test.txt, it should give me the contents of my file as well. So as you can see, like I said, it just had hello world as part of the contents in this file. It can go ahead and cat specific documents and show them in your console as well. Now, the last thing in this demo that I want to go ahead and do is try to share this specific object with someone else. So let's say I've created this bucket over here, the MinIO bucket. By default, the visibility is private, so all the objects within this bucket are also private and no one can go ahead and access it. But I want someone to access the file that I've uploaded in this bucket. So the way that you probably do it from OCI's object storage is to go ahead and create a pre-authenticated request on this bucket, which will give you a link, and that link will come with an expiration date and the level of access that you need. Let's say, for example, if I show you to create one on the object, you can give it an access type of read write or read writes with an expiration date. But I don't want to do it from here. I want to do it from the MinIO side of things. So let's look at how you can go ahead and share your objects. So there is a MC share command as well that we are going to go ahead and use. And I want to share it for downloading. So I'll click on that download option and I'll get the example and the syntax for the same. So let's go ahead and create a link from which people can go ahead and access this specific object, which currently, like I said, relies in a private bucket. It's going to be MC share download, and then I want to go ahead and give that specific object name. You can go ahead and also supply other parameters like the expiration date in terms of the string that formats over here. By default, it goes by 7 days. And what it does is it goes ahead and gives you a link over here. And what you can do is go ahead and copy that link up. And let's say I want to go ahead and put it over here. And as you can see, I can go ahead and access the contents of that specific file. So basically, a lot of different things that you can go ahead and do with the MinIO client with Oracle's object storage using the S3 compatibility that is available in both MinIO as well as OCI's object storage. And that kind of finishes the demo that I had. Well, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Christian to go ahead and give you an overview of our Code Innovate program.
Awesome. Thanks, Chinmay. Hey, everybody. My name is Christian Arredondo. I'm a senior cloud engineer and program manager on the Code Innovate team. And today I'm going to give you a quick overview of our Code Innovate program. So we like to start off with a story of our manager and his family like to go to Legoland as a family activity. And when they're there, they like to attend this class called the Master Builder class. So how it functions is you go in and for the day you pick some technique or some build you'd like to learn. And if you look in the top right, you'll see a gentleman in a green shirt. This is what Lego calls a master builder. And his role is to take this bag of pieces that you've chose for the day and teach you a technique to give you an output. And at the bottom, you can see that they ended up building some penguins here. So what we've done at Oracle is we've created a Code Innovate program, which is a 5 half-day online event that helps jumpstart cloud development. So this essentially functions in the same way as that Master Builder class. It gives you hands-on introduction to the cloud services with our engineers or our master builders that will walk you through and teach you as you're building to get to end results that you've defined with this. So what this does is it facilitates rapid knowledge sharing and gives you that hands-on experience. So you're not learning from someone, you're not going on your own through documentation, but someone's there with you to answer in real time and to show you the best practices. On top of this, we're working on your actual use cases. This isn't a canned use case that was built out. We discuss with you, we figure out what will help improve your business or what issues you'd like to address, and then we work on those with you. And then we do have minimum requirements that if when they're met, this is no cost to you. So those requirements that we have are we ask that you bring 4 more developers, and this just ensures that we're spreading knowledge within your team and that whenever y'all are building on y'all's end, it allows you to discuss and continue to grow in that aspect. It is a 5-day, half-day event, so we're asking 4 hours a day for 5 days, and that just allows us to actually dive in and make impactful progress on what we call a first pass prototype. Like I mentioned before, you bring your use cases, so we're working on anything that you've brought to us that we've helped define with you, helped polish and build out. We do ask that we get a 3-week lead time. This just allows for those discussions and for those use case identifications. So if this is something you're interested in, feel free to email us at the email on screen, and I'll leave this up. Or if you'd like, you can put your email and names in the Zoom chat, and we can reach out to you.
All right. If you like today's session, we'd love to invite you to check out our upcoming events. We'll also like to hear your feedback and what topic you'd like us to cover in the future. As you leave the Zoom room, you'll find a quick survey waiting for you. And lastly, just a reminder, the recording of the webinar will be sent to your email address used for today's event. And with that, I'll go ahead and end today's session. Have a good day, and we hope to see you at our next event.